Put on your sweats. No need to shave. Kick back and relax, because it's Philosophy Friday with Matthew Weiss, where we start off the weekend casual. Hey folks, Matthew Weiss here, WeissAdvice.com, and Weiss Advice here on YouTube. Welcome to Philosophy Friday. In this video, I am going to be discussing publishing splits and how royalties should be divided amongst multiple writers, producers, composers. So this video hopefully will help to avoid some awkward interactions down the line. If you're not familiar with the people that you're working with, or you need to establish some ground rules, this is a great video to share with people just so that everybody can be on the same page. So first, a quick little introduction to who I am and why I have some authority on the subject. I'm the quiet guy in the room who doesn't get the royalty splits. I'm an engineer. My job is to run the studio and make sure that a writing camp or a production group is able to function the way they're supposed to function. I don't get a royalty split, but I see how other people interact and how things play out. And it's given me a lot of understanding and clarity on the subject, being observant of it, yet removed from it at the same time. I am strongly of the mindset that no matter what is being discussed in terms of division or splits or the rules, it should certainly be done beforehand. But I'm also a very strong advocate of even splits amongst roles. So what do I mean by that? Well, I divide in my mind the composition of a song into two main parts, and that's going to be the lyrics and melody, so everything that the vocalist will be doing, and then the music bed, which is everything that all of the instruments are going to be doing. Both of those two sections I feel are distinct and encompass 50% of the royalties each. So 50% for the lyrics melody side, 50% for the music composition side. Now, what I discuss after this will apply for those who are stratified into one group or another. So if you're getting into a writing camp with a bunch of other writers, this will apply to you. If you are a producer who is collaborating on a production with other producers or instrumentalists, this will apply to you. My feeling is that within those divisions, everything should be split evenly regardless of contribution. Now, that may seem counterintuitive at first, because let's say we have a song and it gets placed, we're in a writing camp together doing the lyrics and melody, and one person basically wrote the entire song. Why should that get divided evenly? Well, here's why. Ostensibly, when a bunch of people are coming together in order to create a song, the role that each person will play is not going to be so clear-cut. If I'm going in to write lyrics, I don't go in with the presupposition that I'm going to be writing just the hook. I'm not there to be a hook writer necessarily. Sometimes, but pretty rarely. Usually, it's a bunch of creative people who are just coming up with ideas. Now, the value of an idea is not clear-cut. Oftentimes, I see people try to divide things like saying, okay, of the writer's share, the lyricist's share, the hook is worth half of that, and everything else is worth the other half. Yeah, you can say that because you're creating guidelines and that's all well and good, but in reality, that's not how songs work. You can't put a definitive value on any one thing, and I'll give you a really specific example there. If you look at KRS-One's record, Step Into a World, well, the hook is obviously the hook. It's where the woman is singing, "Step into a world, da, 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 da," right? That's the hook. However, what is the part of that song that anyone who's heard it remembers? It's one line in one verse that goes, "I'm not saying I'm number one, I'm sorry, I lied, I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is the most memorable part of the song. It's the piece that everybody caught on to. That one line arguably holds more value than the rest of the song put together. But on the same token, I could turn around and say, yeah, but it's probably the hook that got the record pitched to the label, that got it accepted, that got it on radio. So what's more valuable? Well, you can't say, and that's the point. There isn't a definitive answer in terms of what the most valuable lyrical contribution to a song is. One line could be more valuable than everything else, but more likely, everything is valuable together. So why do we get an even division? Well, it's going to prevent any muddy waters after the fact, because inevitably there has to be an argument if these things haven't been decided beforehand. In my mind, the intellectual process is not the actual tangible creation. It is the creative process itself that holds value. So if I'm working in the studio with someone and that person doesn't necessarily contribute lyrics, but they give me great ideas to help me sculpt my lyrics and they make my lyrics better, that person is still contributing, even if they aren't writing anything. In theory, when a group of people come together to collaborate on a project, it's because there is a synergy between those people. It's not because of what they're specifically doing or not doing. It's because they are coming together and they are creating and they are making the process work. More likely than not, most of the time, everybody will be contributing. You might do 10 songs, 20 songs in a writer's camp. Or if you're a production group, you might go into the studio and bang out 10, 15 beat skeletons or production ideas. Each person's individual contributions to every single one of those is going to be different. Sometimes it's going to be one person dominating a song. The other time it's going to be the other person. Sometimes it's going to be closer to 50-50. But the bottom line is everybody is agreeing on the process and agreeing on the outcome of each song. It's a roll of the dice which songs are going to make it, which songs are going to get selected, which songs are going to get placed, which songs are going to become album cuts, which songs are going to end up on the radio, which songs are going to be the hits. We don't have any decision-making process. All we can do is create the best work we can create, and we have to be willing to say, you know what, I don't need to input a lot on this song, and I can feel secure about that. Now, what if there's somebody who isn't pulling their weight? Obviously, they shouldn't get an even split, correct? Incorrect. If somebody isn't pulling their weight, they shouldn't be in the room to begin with. I like the even split idea because not only does it save the arguments and get those out of the way, and not only does it allow people to have freedom to contribute the way that they need to contribute, focusing on the best parts of the song rather than what they are contributing to make sure that they're going to get their royalties every single time, but it also creates a gate. And there is some gatekeeping that should be kept. That gate is saying, look, if you're going to let this person in the room, they are going to be taking a piece of your publishing. Therefore, you want them to be in the room if and only if they are bringing something to the table of value. They shouldn't be in the room to begin with if they are going to be dead weight. And sometimes it is a difficult conversation to have, especially if that person is a friend, or especially if that person has some talent, but perhaps just isn't necessarily there yet. And so you have to be careful about navigating how you exclude somebody. But I do believe that if you're talking about creating a writer's camp or a production team, sometimes people need to be excluded, and then you're going to need to grow up, they're going to need to grow up, and you're going to need to work that out. So my feeling is when people walk together as a team, they get rewarded as a team, regardless of what the specific individual contributions are within any given moment or work. But they are only part of that team because in general, the value that they bring to the table is worth that even royalty split. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Now, tomorrow we are going to be launching the very first episode of Patched In with Patch Bay, where myself and Patch are going to be discussing vocal production, and we're going to go pretty in-depth. It's going to be podcast style. Patch is a super talented vocalist, vocal arranger, writer. She's on the writing creative production side, and that's not something I talk about too often on my channel, but I am also a vocal producer. I've got a big, shiny, multi-diamond plaque for my vocal productions, so this is a really, really good chance to hear two pretty accomplished vocal producers who really know their stuff, bouncing off of each other, talking about technique, talking about how to get the best performance, because the reality is all the recording and mixing techniques in the world don't really matter if you don't have great performances. So this is going to allow you, if you're a producer or an artist or an arranger or writer, to sit in the room and have some ideas about how to get that great performance and be a real vocal producer and get what you need to get. So anyway, I hope you dig this video. Hit that like button. If you want to catch more videos like this, hit subscribe with the bell notification so you get notified. And lastly, you know what we say here at Weiss Advice. We are musicians, sound is our instrument, and I will catch you next time.